Now that we're into fall, I want to talk about a few projects that I worked on over the summer, a few bits and pieces of gear that I've been using and enjoying. A few of these were sent to me by various companies, which of course I will disclose throughout the video, but this isn't a sponsored video. The companies aren't paying me or anything like that, and they're not watching this video before I release it. I previously mentioned that I was using my Sony FX30. I've been out in full force with this thing. I shot 2 music videos with it, a bunch of videos for this channel, and some social media stuff for Grounds, that donut shop near me, and overall I love the camera. It's a beast for video. There are a few things about it that drive me, as we'd say in the professional, very legit industry, knucking futs. But I'm gonna have to make a video about that in 3 to 5 business years. You know, when the camera is completely irrelevant so that no one watches the video. That is my channel in a nutshell right there. But the big breakthrough I had with the camera, and this is not news to many of you Sony users, but the Sony monitor and control app is the coolest thing ever. This app is a complete game changer for me. It connects your camera via Wi-Fi and basically lets you control every aspect of the camera. Frame rate, shutter speed, aperture. If you have an electronic lens, you can manually pull focus. You can even tap to activate focus tracking. It is insane. So my music video rig right now has evolved into the FX30. I'm using a tilt-a-cage on it, and I got the little side grippy and the top handle. And the latest addition is my phone, which is just clamped on there with some cheap Amazon phone holder thing. It was like 20 bucks. It almost feels like I don't need a monitor anymore because I have this app. The only issue I've had thus far is that I can't seem to get the light meter to show up in the monitor and control app. There has to be a way to do it. I just haven't found it. And that would make this perfect. So let me know in the comments below if you know how to do that. But overall, I love it. I love this camera. In other news, Zhiyun very generously sent me a light, the Molus B200 with a softbox. We were planning on shooting a 3rd music video in September where the light was going to be the primary light for the whole video. Would have been super handy, but alas, the project hasn't quite happened yet. So this light has just been living in my studio for now, lighting the B-roll of my last couple of videos. Overall, it's really nice. The softbox with the honeycomb grid produces a beautiful soft light. It's been making my B-roll life a lot easier, honestly. The light does have a semi-significant footprint though, so if you're working in a small space, this might not be the right choice for you. In my old apartment, this never would have fit in that closet I called an office. The B200 has a bunch of epic gamer fans, which is cool. It's used for cooling, haha. So I assume it allows you to blast this light at 100% for long periods of time. And to be clear, I haven't run into an issue where the light has turned off due to overheating. But I do need to point out the fact that these fans are not exactly quiet. After running it for a while, they actually become pretty noticeable. This can easily be corrected in Premiere or whatever editing software you're using with a bunch of noise reduction, but it's worth mentioning, especially if you plan on using this light to be a key light for you and you're talking to the camera and you're hearing the fans, might not be the best combo. But overall, I really do like the light. It looks good, there's no flickering issues, not many complaints. Alright, this one is really silly, so I'll be quick. I picked up the TT Artisans Super Mini LED light, the one that looks like a little 35mm cassette. I know, it's dumb, but I like it, it's cute. Is it the best light I've ever owned?
No.
But it was 10 bucks and it makes me smile. I was actually surprised that it has red and green LEDs to indicate charging status. I'm sure there'll be a day where it comes in clutch and I find a brilliant use for it, but for now it's just kind of cool. I don't know, thought it was funny. And it's got a magnet.
Yeah, bitch! Magnets! Oh!
Speaking of TT Artisans, they sent me this odd lens, which is a 75mm f1.5. It's special because of its swirly bokeh. Now, if you've been following the channel, you know that I've pursued the swirly bokeh in a totally normal and not at all unhinged manner. The TT Artisan 75mm, which by the way, I think TT actually stands for The Thinking Artisan. I don't know, it says it on the instruction manual. Never heard that before. This lens bears a striking resemblance to this Zeiss Biotar f1.5, which is a lens from 1938. People have been adapting it, it's been used in Hollywood, but this lens is just a little expensive. So the TT Artisans is a nice alternative for people who don't have $3,000. There is a hot spot for sure on this lens. I found that you get the most pleasing swirly bokeh when you focus roughly between 6 to 10 feet, maybe a little bit further than that. But it also has this interesting characteristic where the center of the frame will be really sharp, but the sides around it will bend out of focus. It's a really unique look. It kind of almost reminds me of the Petzval lens they were using in the Lighthouse. This swirly effect becomes way less pronounced when you stop the aperture down to f8 or f16. The swirl practically goes away. And I know that's kind of the whole draw of this lens, so that's a little weird, but the hot spot in the center gets way larger when you stop down, so it's a little bit easier easier to use. Speaking of, I'm not gonna lie, this lens does take some getting used to. It can be a little tough to focus even with focus peaking and digital magnification. At f1.5, which is the aperture I'm sure many people are gonna wanna shoot it at for that swirl effect, the depth of field is wild shallow. It's very tough to nail perfect focus. I didn't get a chance to shoot a roll of film with this lens like I would have liked to. This is an M42 mount, and despite my closet full of crap, I actually don't own an M42 mount film camera, so the majority of the time, this lens was either paired on my Fuji X-T4 or my Sony FX30. I did manage to sneak this lens into both the music videos I worked on over the last month, and I'm glad I did because this is a beast for portraits. I really love the results. It's all metal, the thing is an absolute unit, it's got a nice weight to it, but on my Fuji X-T4, the camera does become a bit front heavy with it, probably because of this big ass piece of glass. One of the things that was really interesting to me is the lens comes with an Allen wrench, and you actually have to loosen it and line up the lens so that you can see the focus scale markings like the right way up on your camera. Never had a lens like that before. Kind of a cool detail. Overall, this lens definitely has some quirks and takes some practice to get the most out of it, but if you're going for that swirl bokeh look and you don't have 3,000 bucks for a biotar, this is a pretty good silver medal, and 10% of the price at 300 bucks is pretty nice. Freewell, and I don't know why I keep wanting to call them free wheel for some reason, they sent me a magnetic filter set to try out. It's such a fun idea, and I know there are numerous companies who have adopted this magnetic system, but this is a super convenient way to switch filters when you aren't rigged out with some sort of matte box, which I am not. I haven't made the jump on my FX30 yet. The main reason for that is because over the years I've acquired tons of 77mm filters, and I just use step-up rings to, put them on all my lenses. It's really cool to have a system like this. The only issue is that many of my existing filters don't quite magnetize to it. The heavier filters I own, like the close-up diopters or even this funky ring filter, kind of just fall off. Not great. But if you're looking for a quick ND filter solution, this is an awesome set. It has a really nice variety of filters and a cool little carrying case that I definitely didn't open upside down and drop all the filters onto concrete. So that definitely didn't happen 3 times. Well, thanks for listening to me ramble about gear. I think it's kind of fun to talk about, especially considering this stuff helped me out during my music video projects. Like I've said before, I'm not really into gear maxing, but sometimes you come across things that actually make your life a little easier, and I like sharing stuff with you guys, so here we are. Both of those music videos should be coming out early November, so I'll link them in the description below when they're available. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and share the video. All right, bye.
Like and subscribe. Swirly photography. Dumb man.
In other words,
Oh, that's now.